Okay, let's talk about saving your first $100,000. For so many of us, that number just feels like a mountain, right? It's this huge, intimidating milestone on the road to building wealth. And honestly, it can feel almost impossible to get to. But what if I told you that with the right system in place, you could get there a lot faster than you think? Let's break down exactly how.
Does this feel familiar? You're working hard, you're trying to be smart with your money, but that six-figure savings goal just seems completely out of reach. You might even start to wonder if you accidentally signed up for some subscription service called Broke Life Premium. It's a super common feeling, but breaking out of that cycle is exactly what we're going to tackle today. So why this number? What is so special about $100,000? Look, it's not just about having a big, satisfying number in your bank account. It's really about reaching a critical tipping point. This is the launch pad. This is the moment where your money stops being just your money and starts becoming this powerful engine for your wealth, all thanks to the incredible, unstoppable force of compound interest.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The legendary investor Charlie Munger famously said that the first $100,000 is the hardest. He knew better than almost anyone that getting this first big chunk of money together takes the most effort. But once you do it, oh man, the momentum completely shifts in your favor.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking that challenge right in the eye. Then we'll make a huge mindset shift from just using willpower to building smart systems. After that, we dive into the really practical stuff: simplified investing, cranking up your income, and crucially, getting a handle on your biggest expenses. And then we'll look at what happens when that financial snowball really starts to roll.
All right, let's dive into part one, the first 100K challenge. We've heard it's the hardest, but why? What really makes this first milestone so much tougher than all the ones that come after it?
Here's the absolute truth of it. In the beginning, you are doing all of the work. Every single dollar of that first 100 grand has to come directly from your paycheck or a side hustle. You are literally building the foundation of your financial future brick by painful brick, long before your investments get big enough to start doing any of the heavy lifting for you.
And that brings us to maybe the most important idea in this entire explainer: building systems instead of just relying on willpower. You know, this is the mindset shift that really separates the people who succeed from those who just stay stuck spinning their wheels.
A really great way to think about this is the leaky bucket analogy. Just imagine your income is the water you're pouring into a bucket. But if that bucket is just full of holes, leaks from taxes, crazy high fees, wasteful spending, you're never going to fill it up, no matter how much water you pour in. The real goal isn't just to earn more money, it's to build a better bucket. It's to plug the leaks. And this really shows you the difference in approach. Relying on willpower is all about those small, painful daily sacrifices, right? Skipping your morning coffee, feeling guilty about every little purchase. A systems approach, on the other hand, is about setting things up to run on their own, like automating your investments. It's about focusing on the big wins that give you long-term consistency, instead of getting exhausted by short-term pain.
Okay, so you've built your system, you're plugging the leaks, and you're actually saving money. So what's next? Well, you have to put that money to work. This brings us to part 3, smart investing. And I've got some good news for you. It's a lot simpler than you probably think.
It really just boils down to 4 simple rules. First, stick with broad market funds, like an S&P 500 index fund. That way you own a tiny piece of hundreds of awesome companies. Second, and this is non-negotiable, you have to reinvest all your dividends so your money can really compound. Third, you got to resist that urge to try and time the market. Consistency is what wins, not trying to be clever. And fourth, you have to minimize those pesky investment fees.
Now, that last point about fees is absolutely critical. I mean, a fund charging a 1% fee versus one charging just 0.1%, that doesn't sound like a huge deal, right? Wrong. Over 30 years, that tiny little 0.9% difference could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost growth. It is a silent killer for your returns.
Okay, let's switch gears and move to part 4, maximize your income. Saving and investing are crucial, but you also need fuel for that wealth engine. So let's talk about the other side of the equation, bringing more money in.
I want you to just let this sink in for a second. Free money is a real thing. It actually exists. And yet millions of people just walk away from it every single year, simply because they don't take one simple step.
So what am I talking about? The employer 401k match. Seriously. If you make $50,000 a year and your employer offers a pretty typical match, they could be handing you an extra $1,500. That is an instant 50% return on your money before the market even does anything. Not taking this is literally like telling your boss, No thanks, I don't want that raise.
So, when we talk about boosting your income, there are two really powerful ways to do it. First, and I cannot say this enough, you have got to get your full employer match. It's free money. Second, look for other ways to earn, a side hustle, anything. But here is the golden rule. This extra cash is not for upgrading your lifestyle. Its one and only job is to be invested to build your wealth. Period.
And that brings us to what is, honestly, the most powerful section of all. Part 5. Control your big expenses. This is the #1 lever you can pull to absolutely supercharge your savings rate and get to that 100K goal way faster.
You know, it's funny. People obsess about cutting coupons and skipping lattes, but they're totally missing the forest for the trees. Just look at where the average person's money actually goes. This massive chunk is eaten up by just 3 things: housing, taxes, and transportation. This is where the real savings are hiding.
So how do you actually pull these big levers? Well, for taxes, you use tax-advantaged accounts like a 401k or an IRA. To fight lifestyle inflation, you make a rule to automatically invest at least half of every single raise you get. But the biggest lever of them all, the one with the absolute most potential, is housing.
Seriously, this is where the magic happens. Optimizing your housing is the single most powerful financial move you can make. I'm talking about getting roommates for a couple of years, maybe moving to a less expensive area, or even something called house hacking. Let's say you cut your housing costs from $2,000 down to $1,200 a month. That's almost $10,000 a year you can now invest. That one change could add over $500,000 to your net worth over your lifetime. It's huge.
And finally, let's look ahead to Part 6, your financial snowball. Because here's the best part. Reaching that first $100,000 isn't the finish line. It's the starting line for true, mind-blowing wealth acceleration. At this milestone, something incredible starts to happen. Your investments are now big enough to generate real, noticeable returns all on their own. Your money is officially making money. That snowball that you worked so hard to push to the top of the hill, well, now it's starting to roll down the other side, getting bigger and faster all by itself. I promise you the path to your second 100,000 is dramatically quicker than the first.
And that, right there, is why all of this is so important. The systems you build, the choices you make today, they are a direct gift to the person you are going to be in 10, 20, or 30 years. Your future self is literally counting on you. So the real question is, what kind of future are you building for them?